welcome back to the next episode of the Forging Excellence Show. I am Christine Kawai. He is Mark Smith. And when I think of excellence, what is more top of the pile than the Olympics? So,
Amen.
were you able to watch any of the Olympics this year?
My gosh. You know what? We caught a bunch of the Olympics. We had some fun. Really unique opening, which was kind of crazy,
Isn't
but
it always, though?
it's always kind of weird. But you know which one I loved was the last one where they had the archer, where he
Oh,
kind of
yeah.
shot that flaming arrow. That was so cool. This one with the boats, I was kind of like, what's going on? What's happening here? But
I
oh
saw a clip online of someone who was in attendance, and the side of the river that they were on, the boats went in front of a fountain that was in between them. So their whole time, they're like, we just see the fountain because
yeah.
everything's going in front of the fountain. I was like, oh gosh, I'd
We
be
bought
so
tickets and we watched the fountain.
right
Awesome.
for
Yeah, that is
hours.
cool. Yeah.
Just the front of a boat and the back of a boat for a quick second.
Hey, I'll tell you, you know what I was excited about? Like when we were watching basketball, like if you got a chance to watch that, it was really cool. You look at like we have a stacked team, like, so stacked that the NBA champion, right, is barely playing. And you go, holy cow. But I'll tell you, those boys came out and played. Like Jokic and his team did great. France did great. There were a lot of really good teams that could beat the USA. And I think, normally USA kind of goes out and we show what we can do. Man, it was great to see. They pulled it out at the end there. Steph Curry, holy cow, he really came through. I think LeBron through the whole thing was probably, I'm gonna guess, probably the best player out there. Led the team, but oh my gosh, when it came to clutch time, I love the fact KD and LeBron were just like, "Hey, Steph, pop one."
Yeah, I saw a post. I believe it was from like France McDonald's, where they said that they were, for obvious reasons, halting the sale of their or giving the option for their curry sauce that they have. But I just I love it. Like, you know what, little too soon considering
That's
that's who
so
we
funny.
knocked
Oh
out.
my
But
god, dude, I love it. Yeah, since Steph Curry killed us, yeah,
right,
we're
we're gonna, you can hold up on your curry sauce for a few weeks.
okay, sure. Okay, France, that's good. But yeah, he did great. He always does kind of the night night thing. So he was wearing a shirt that said "Nuit Nuit," right? French for night night. I'm
Like,
like,
just to
well
make sure
done.
everyone understands what we're saying over here.
Yeah, I love it. It was great. But I'll tell you, there were some cool things in there though. One thing I'm really in love with now: handball.
Really?
Oh my god! Like, so here's the thing. I'm going to describe it like the worst you can possibly describe it because I've never played it and I've only watched it. Everybody out there is Superman. You're jumping like crazy, but you're playing on like a basketball court, almost like a futsal court. And so you got this big arc, and you can't go in the arc, but you can jump leaps and bounds. And you take this little ball and you're just whipping in the net. And I think their success rate of from throwing to it going in the net is like 99%. It
And
was
handball
awesome.
is one of those sports that, I hear it and I'm like, oh, is this the first year for it? And I'm like, oh no, it's actually been around for decades.
It's crazy. It's like, man, I mean, look at this, right? We look at track, and I heard a funny thing. So if you look the past 100 years in track, so we look now, we go, we've got the best training, right? We are probably bigger and faster than we were 100 years ago. We've got better medical advice, recuperation, right? Prep, energy, everything we do is optimized, right? The technology, like even shoes, and being able to get back energy in the shoes, even the Mondo flooring, right? Everything that you do returns energy. It's great. How much faster do you think in the like 100-meter dash? How much faster is a men's champion this year than they were 100 years ago?
Oh gosh. And because I know when we're talking track and field, similar to my F1 and well, swimming too, we're talking, thousandths of a
Right,
second.
right.
So if
But
it's
100
if it's
years, you figure, hey,
ri-
come on. Yeah.
right, but if it's is it over a second?
No, it's under a second.
Oh,
Isn't
okay,
that
okay.
weird? I would have said, you know what? I would have said like 3 seconds. I
Right.
would have thought we were so much faster. You look at these guys go like Noah Lyles. Are you kidding me? He's a beast. And it's
Well,
like,
even just going back 20 years and seeing the difference, does that ever make you think of 20 years in the future, what people will be capable of? because we
We
are
might.
at the peak of what we can do right now. But, technology is always advancing and we are
Yeah.
reaping the benefits of all that.
Well, you know what I can't wait for is I can't wait for the next breakdancing.
I was gonna say, speaking of for the first time, and I mean, I don't think there are a few things that I believe the 2024 Olympics will be remembered for. The three that come to the top of my mind are, of course, breakdancing, and who happened
Yeah.
to be last place for the women's. The
Yeah.
that the second place, the silver medal for the shooting with the guy that was just in his like
Oh,
t-shirt and like I got
Turkish
the
dad? Turkish
yes,
dad?
yes.
Yeah.
And then the pole vaulter, if we want to touch that a little bit later.
I
But
don't know. Wait, Christine, tell me about the pole vaulter. I don't
oh,
know.
have you?
No, no.
Yeah,
Really?
I'll send you some
Yeah.
pictures after.
No,
But
no. I think it's better if you describe it in words.
would it be a moment of pride or a moment of I've worked my life for this
Oh.
and now this is what I will be remembered for is
Hmm.
how the bar fell off as I
You know
said.
what? I think here's the thing. I think you got to look at it like this. He, he has worked his tail off for 4 years, right? He has reached this pinnacle where he is going over the bar close to an Olympic record. He gets over. His entire body,
Right?
99.9% gets over. As he's coming down, right? God blessed him with a lot of skill and a lot of talent.
I love all the like super slow mos frame by
Right.
frame of like what happened.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, but now he gets to go around the rest of his life going, yeah, I was in the Olympics. I actually, how'd you do? Well,
Well, let me tell you. I'll tell you frame by frame. But no, I mean, he's got to be proud. I did like who was it? Where was he from? Norway in the high jump. He ends up winning the gold. He's got the gold. Now he's just like, let me see if I can set the Olympic record.
yes.
And I love it because it's the mentality where he's like, I think I can do it. I think I can do it. So he tries, he runs up, almost gets over, just hits the bar, falls off on him. He's like, that's right, I'm gonna try it again. Gets prep, goes through his routine, runs, it looks perfect. Hits, comes up, bam, hits the bar again. Just barely hitting it. So finally he's like, nope, I got this. Goes through his routine, almost like he could do it 100 times. Goes through, does it, gets over the bar, clears it. He probably could have cleared it another couple of inches. And dude gets an Olympic record. It was like, way to stay at it. That was awesome to see. So
That's so. I'm a big Jeopardy fan, and I've played with my dad my whole life. And every once in a while, we'll have one of those like brain fart moments where you're just thinking so fast, and you got to be the first to answer because my dad and I are very competitive in it. And the category was Olympic sports,
oh
and
boy.
the question was something along the lines of. This track and field event holds, or like the current world record was 76 feet and my dad without missing a beat went pole vaulting and like as soon as you're like but it's one of those like as soon as you think of it you're like 76 feet
Right.
like first of all how
Yeah.
long is this pole that we are you're starting
It is
with
a 90-foot
what
pole. Yeah.
it's like I don't think it was 76 feet but anyway we got to get back to the breakdancing
Yeah.
because
Oh, that's my favorite. I'll tell you.
what were your thoughts
Well, here's the funny thing. So I grew up in an era where like we would break dance. So I remember, we're gonna go back to my gosh, being over at John Clark's house, listening to Houdini, Run DMC, and this is going back. This is like maybe '84, right? We had, I mean, you had Breakin' 2, Electric Boogaloo out. You had Beat Street, right? A lot of good stuff. So we'd break dance. We'd have some fun. And so what I thought is like, man, we're like the creators of it. When you look from like New York to LA, oh my God, we got to be able to take this thing easy. And then you watch these guys. There's a lot of b-boy stuff, right? It's a lot of, head spinning and kind of doing aerials, like really, really doing some good stuff. But I'm watching it and I'm like, what? What is this? Is not breakdancing, right? I'm like, what the? And then I see the Australian entrant come in. So this athlete is a PhD, right? So knows her stuff in maybe dance theory, teaches dance theory. Okay, great. But she gets out to breakdance and she comes out with swagger. Now everybody's wearing like street clothes, right? You got like monochromatic, the whites, the grays, the whatever. She comes out in this Australian golfer outfit. I don't know what it was. She's got like this baseball
It's funny.
hat.
Again, me as an F1 fan, so
Yeah.
currently Aston Martin, their team kit, like what they wear, it looks exactly like that for a second. I was like, where did she come?
Yeah.
Have I crossed?
Maybe she's supposed to do F1. I don't know. But yeah, she came out. She had swagger, man. She had the look. She was doing her thing. And then, I mean, she goes up against three different people, right? And you figure, all right, get a point. You know the theory of it. Nothing. Loses all three badly. The other ones did a great job. Her moves, though, are incredible. And you can see it if you look on TikTok, Instagram,
Oh, of
whatever.
course.
My God, you see I don't know if we'll call it a bunny hop, a kangaroo hop. That was pretty
Kangaroo.
fun.
They're Australian. It's got to
Yeah,
be a kangaroo
right.
hop.
She did what was the other one? Let's see. She did the golden retriever rolling around on the
Roll it on the
grass.
grass.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm like, okay. So I'm watching it go, what is she doing? And then she did this weird, like, I'm going to touch my elbows and then just like drag them forward move. I'm like, what? What? It
And
was like,
my heart actually goes out to her a little bit because if there's anyone I blame, I think it would be just Australia in general because she, entered a competition just like everyone else, whatever hoops you had to jump through in
sure.
order to. I mean, she didn't, volunteer to like pick a name off of a thing. Obviously, when you see the skills back to back to back, there is a extreme outlier with what's capable of, but
Yeah.
if they were like, "Hey, we want you. Here you go." I mean, they knew what she could do because that's how she got to that spot. And if they thought this is the best we have to showcase to the world, which that alone, like I've
Yeah.
seen kids on the street, like when I'm stopped at a red light and someone's just kind of doing their thing on a corner, and I'm like, this is incredible.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the people that I feel bad for is obviously this has gone viral. This is everywhere that you look. The memes write themselves. And we're able to, I will say she gets the gold medal for bringing a little bit of joy and laughter into everyone's life. Maybe not the intention that
You know what? You're right. You're right.
she went out
Yeah.
with, but I feel bad for those who did put out an incredible performance. And it's kind of gotten lost in all the, viralness of her appearance. But there was
Yeah.
and I didn't realize going into this, it was never going to be in the Olympics next year. Like that
Well,
was
here's the thing. It may have been.
I
I
gotcha.
think
Okay.
I think after seeing that, I think the Olympic Committee for LA decided, yeah, no, no. I think they took out a few different things, but we'll see. Maybe they'll bring in a few things, which would be really cool.
And besides breakdancing not coming back next year, I wasn't aware of all the sports that are, whether it is a debut or making a comeback. So I believe the debut ones were flag football and
Yeah,
squash, and then coming back is lacrosse, softball, baseball, which it's just fascinating to me. I was reading a list of, if we're going to bring back some sports in the 1920s, I believe was the last time they had tug of war. I was like, I want a gold medal in tug of war.
you know what? Isn't that if you look? I think that is the most purest like team event in the Olympics. Like, get your biggest, strongest people. We'll get our biggest, strongest people. We'll see who wins.
Yeah,
Right?
especially, and I'm always because we would do them at work events. If there is a rope and enough people that are ready to show, what they can do, field days back in grade school.
Oh
And it
yeah.
was always funny of like, who's going to be that anchor? Who's like the biggest kid that we can tuck on at the end? And like, no matter what, dig your heels in. Like
Let's go. Yeah.
we are
Now,
not going to lose.
who do we get for flag football? Are we going to take like college athletes or retired NFL people? I wonder who's going to be in flag football.
Right? I was like, they got 4 years to figure it out. But yeah, that would be I mean, same but different. And I'm sure that the, talent pool is bigger than we can imagine. But yeah, it'll
It'd
be
be pretty
interesting to
interesting.
see
Yeah.
the cast of characters that come. Who's going to coach them? Who's going to.
We gotta put out a call. We gotta see if Gronk can do one. Right, he can be a coach. We'll see if Greg Jones can get out there. Right. I think that'd be hilarious. That'd be funny. Like, who do you do? Who is like the most renowned flag football coach? Like
Right?
I don't know. I wonder if there's somebody in that realm who's just like, oh, that's like the grandfather. That's the guy who would do it.
I think that answer will reveal itself in 4 years as we see which
Right.
coach has that gold medal.
Yeah.
Are there any other sports that you love watching when it is summer Olympic time?
You know what? I'll tell you. I love Summer Olympics, but I love like gymnastics. Like Simone Biles destroys. She is so darn good all the time. And this is almost maybe what breakdancing needed a little bit. When you're going up to do a routine, right? Like Simone Biles, just perfection out there. she's going to let the judges know, right? It's already predetermined. Here's my routine. So they know the difficult level. They know what she needs to hit, the order she needs to hit it in. And then they kind of, judge it by that, right? How did you execute on exactly what you did? I think that was the hardest part of like breakdancing. It was just, here's some music, let's see what you can do, right?
Hmm.
5 little rules. And you go, we might need a little bit more than that. It's a little difficult to do that. I think even when you look at like synchronized diving, right? They've got, what they're going to do, and they're kind of judging every little piece, right? And I think there's got to be something to that in each sport where either you won, like tug of war. We won because you guys are all in the mud and we're not,
Right.
right? But hey, here's my routine. It was the hardest, and I did it. I executed perfectly, right? We won. Wrestling, that was one. You know what? I'll tell you what. Big shout out to the U.S. wrestlers. We took a lot of medals in that. I think like 7 medals. But holy cow! For those that have wrestled, like watching this, what goes into that, and it's pretty cool to see. And I think those are. It's great to see like the U.S. really show what we can do. I think when you go back, like Kurt Angle, right, who's in WWE now, he was a gold medalist, I think. But yeah, it's awesome to see those guys and get representation. But yeah, I think, man, 7 medals is like, woo, that's big time. That was awesome.
That is incredible. I can remember I used to love the time for the Olympics when I was a teenager because this was before I think maybe TiVo had just entered, our world. So, and then we weren't fancy enough to have that quite yet when it first launched. And it was the only thing that if you couldn't fall asleep in the middle of the night and you wanted to watch something on TV, when it was the Olympic time, you didn't have to just watch infomercials, and maybe you
Yeah.
would get sucked into a badminton match that you'd never
Oh,
realize would be so riveting.
which is
But
awesome. Badminton's so cool.
and I love watching the synchronized swimmers as well. First of all, I have no idea how they hold their breath that long. And I am a
No.
swimmer, so I
Yeah.
I do understand being underwater for a long
Yeah.
time, but when I see what they are able to do, and even just so I thought they used hair gel to keep everything in place because I knew that's part of the uniform. So if you have a
Right.
hair out of place, I'm pretty sure you can get like marked down for that. But they actually use Knox gelatin.
No,
And so
wait,
yeah, they
wait.
make like I mean, there's
Like for
some.
their hair, they just put it on their hair?
Oh, and it is caked on. They have,
Wow.
again, down the, TikTok little rabbit hole. First, like an ASMR where they're kind of
Oh
feeling it, but
no.
they'll take videos of peeling it off. But they just douse their hair in
Hmm.
gelatin and
We
create a
we should we
little.
should have done that today.
Oh, right. It'll be like a robot version of myself as
We're
I got
ready.
my little helmet head going
Yeah.
on. But
Oh my god. Yeah, you're right. I don't know how people do that. Synchronized swimming's crazy. Whenever I see it, I'm always impressed because, like, even from diving in, they're flipping around. I'm like, me, I can't even tread water. So I'm like, how do you guys do this? But did you ever see an SNL skit with Martin Short? This is like back in the day, but it's about two guys who are trying out for
oh my
synchronized
gosh.
swimming.
No, but now I
It's
need to.
it is hilarious. We got to show it. Yeah, it's hilarious, but it's just so funny because it shows them like being coached, and they're awful, and they're wearing water wings, and it's it's awesome.
That is and I've tried some of those moves before, and I'd say 90% of the time I came up coughing water because I'm like, I don't
Yeah,
understand how. And it's funny, out of every single thing that they do, what impresses me the most, because this is something I have never been comfortable with, even though I've spent a huge chunk of my life in the water, I hate not wearing goggles. It's like just
really.
it's like my brain shuts off and I forget that I can still do other things. And so the
Wow.
fact that they are looking around and, hoisting each other up and doing all this stuff, I'm like, they don't even have goggles on. Like
Right.
it's so,
Yeah.
so
What are you
much
guys doing?
might destroy the look a little bit, but
Yeah, it's cool to see. But I'll tell you, you know what? I've got such an appreciation. Like when you look at swimming overall, that whole team is crazy. When you look at like the U.S. team, holy cow! Like Katie Ledecky, what can she not do?
someone had posted the last 20, like the top 20 times for her event over
Yeah.
the last X amount of years, and every single one of them was Katie Ledecky.
Oh.
It's like just you can watch how she got better throughout the
Yeah.
years, but yeah, that is a whole different level.
That is great. So she just keeps beating herself.
Yep, for
Wow.
she is the top 20 of her of her events.
My God. Can you imagine that? Man, what sport is there? You know?
Right.
Geez, where you're just like, yeah, I'm just Can I go against myself? Let me see if I can beat my old record.
Oh, look, I
Wow, there it
did.
is. Okay, another record. That's awesome. Yeah, that's crazy. So much fun though. I'll tell you, I love it. But you know what I think we need to do
Hmm.
is we need to have like our own Summer Olympics.
Yeah.
Like, wouldn't that be fun? Like just to do something, and it brings me back to like The Office, like that show. Remember The Office,
Of course.
where they did their own little event. But I think that'd be really cool. I mean, we could do like the 3-on-3 basketball. I thought that was a cool inclusion this year too. 3-on-3 basketball, that was awesome. But to do something like that, you can do volleyball, you can do a bunch of really cool things. You can do a little track and field events, but that'd be so fun to do just locally, like in different areas. Have your own Olympics, but you can even have it where it's like Olympics for, it's only for kids like, 8 to 15 or something. It'd be so fun.
I love it. And keeping the gymnastics in mind, did you see all of the lovely memes with Steve, the pommel horse guy for the US?
Dude, I'll tell you, Steve is a focused individual, man. You got to be careful of him. Comes
So
out all nonchalant.
if you had to specialize in an event, and we said, all right, Mark, you got 4 years, 4 years to get yourself ready. So it doesn't necessarily have to be the whole sport. It can be now it can if that is what you think one of the best options. And you know what? We'll broaden it to all Olympic sports. So summer or winter. If you had 4 years to dedicate every breath to preparing yourself to hopefully represent the US,
Yeah,
what
yeah. What would
sport
be?
do you think you would have the most realistic shot
Oh
of
my gosh.
being able to join the team?
That is crazy. It's like, a lot of guys will watch football, right? And they'll see like, they'll look at it and go, "Oh, Jared Goff, dude, you can't even make that pass." Dude, here's the thing. Jared Goff is better than I'm going to say 100% of everybody sitting at home watching this. But it's funny to see that like that level. If I took 4 years and that's all I did. I was sponsored. That's all from the morning, from as soon as I wake up to when I go to bed, that's all I'm working on. I'll tell you what, in 4 years, I might be good enough to be in the building watching somebody
Well,
compete.
that's fine, but we're still talking theoretically here. There's
Okay.
got to be, I
Right.
mean, well, because
Yeah.
even if I think for myself, so I'm not going to get my swim times down. I'm not going to, you're never going to see me in track and field like that. Will not be. I hate running, so that's not going to be the case. But when I think of something like shooting, would I be
Yeah.
able to get those precise skills down? When I think of stuff like bobsledding or
Right. There you go.
skeleton and
Yeah.
luge and all that, I mean, I'd have to get over some fears at one point. But is there anything along those lines that you're like, you know what, I really think, because honestly, I've never even shot a gun. So for all I know, I could be a natural talent, and
You could be awesome.
I would have
Yeah.
no idea. I have not unlocked that part of my life yet. So
Well, hey,
maybe I'm
you
a
go.
secret sniper.
Yeah, you can go train in Turkey,
Right.
right?
Get my t-shirt ready, and
Yeah, you're ready to show up. Like, go ahead.
I don't need my
Yeah,
Inspector Gadget little
right. Right.
glasses.
You know what? It's funny when I look at all that. Something that if I took that time, what could we do? I think you know what? My God, you look at some and you go, it's just crazy. Like when we look at like pole vaulting, like oh, no way, that is such a crazy thing. If I look at basketball, you know, there are so many things where I'm like, I don't know what I could do. It's crazy. Sport climbing, I don't know. I'd probably just have to go. Let's just pick one that's super fun. And I'm like, I'm just going to go have fun with it. And if I spend a lot of time doing it, maybe I'm okay. I'm good enough to kind of get off the bench. But man, I'd love handball. Handball just
See,
looks
okay,
too
we'll go
cool.
handball. So let's
Yeah.
say you have made the 2028 handball team
Yep.
and
Yep.
you guys win gold. Where are you
Yep.
putting that gold medal?
You know what? I am using that gold medal. I'm just wearing it like a headband, so it
Oh,
just hangs on my face. You know what? I wonder. I think the biggest flex that I've seen that I really appreciated was in the last Olympics when Xander Schauffele he won the gold in golf, and he used in his next event as his ball marker on the green. He used his gold medal. I'm like, oh, that's awesome. But yeah, I don't know. I think I think when you have probably people probably display it or wear it, for that day or something. And then you know what I bet? I bet it becomes something you put away and you go, listen, I need to beat that, right? Especially if you got silver or bronze. I mean, what an incredible feat to get that, right? You are in the world second or third best. But I think it's also a reminder that you could be better. There's somebody out there that's working out when you're not, somebody that's training when you're not. Be that person, get that goal. And then once you get that goal, like Katie, how do you beat yourself? How do you continue to be better? So that's interesting. So I don't know. I think I would think, like, oh, it'd be cool. I'd wear it. I'd be cool. But I think
It's
you'd be
always
so passionate.
fascinating, like the difference in you. Well, this is, every answer's different. That's why we ask
Yeah.
the questions. Because
Yeah.
for me, I look at it a little differently. So I would probably, let's just say, if you see my little, person that I knit on back there,
Yeah.
I would just kind of toss it around her neck or something like that. But I would want it somewhere that other people that coming to visit me, if they want to go put it on there, wear it for a second and feel that, by
Yeah.
all means. I love how Kate Winslet keeps her Oscar in her bathroom, because if people are over using the bathroom and they want to like hold it and kind of pretend to give
That's
their
fun.
speech, she wants them to be able to do it in a place of privacy so they don't feel embarrassed to like say, I want to hold it. I want to pretend like I want to feel it. I want to give my little speech. And so I think of it
That's awesome.
more as a source of inspiration for others as well, because there's some magic when I have had like a medal around my neck from someone that I used to work with. So, but just to feel like the literal weight of it,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I also think that I would want it somewhere that it just kind of casually lives with me, because seeing it will take, I feel like the most incredible moment of all, besides that, the end of the event, the game, whatever it is, when you realize that you have won, I think it would always take me back to that memory of being on the podium and
Oh yeah.
hearing my national anthem play, watching the flag raise, seeing everyone realizing, like, really, because I mean, when you're in it, adrenaline is pumping, everything is great, and that medal ceremony is when everything, like, you're truly able to soak in that moment.
Oh
And so
yeah.
I would want it around to have that reminder of, and I mean, we all have ups and downs, we all have bad days, and even in my worst day, if I could see that, hanging in the corner, to be like, you, you have achieved more than you might be giving your credit. Like literally, you are the best of the best in
Yeah.
the world.
Yeah.
So
It is impressive. It's what's funny, and I love that kind of thought on it. Mine has been I remember even like throughout high school. So I'm wrestling and running track. So I've got a bunch of medals, but I used to keep those in the closet in a jacket pocket.
really,
That was
really,
it. Yeah. And then, we had from like baseball growing up, a lot of trophies. So we had, our championship trophies. We got oddly one year sportsmanship award trophies for winning. We're like, that was weird. None of us knew what that was for. We're like, oh, but like MVP trophies, like, batting average, like we've got all those things. And I remember when I went to college, I took those and I donated them to a trophy shop. And I'm like, all right, that's, it's not who I am. That's what I
right.
achieved. And it was just funny. I've always been like that. I think now, I'm trying to think, my medals are, yeah, probably still in my jacket pocket of my varsity jacket, like hanging in some closet. Isn't that funny? And you know what? As a matter of fact, yeah, I've got behind me, and I don't know if we can see it, but we did let me see if we can see it. Over here somewhere. There we go.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, look at,
There it
there's some
is.
trophies.
Yeah, there it is, right there. So we did the Spartan run, and the Spartan run for us. I mean, that was one incredible run. That is like, you're basically running maybe a half marathon, a little better than that, with all these obstacles. And the thing is, if you cannot finish an obstacle, it's okay. You have to do burpees. I think it's like
Oh,
15 or 30 burpees. It was crazy. First couple obstacles, you're trying and you're like, oh my God. So if you fall off like the bars or something, you failed it. Now you got to do burpees. And it was like after like two, three, four of those, they just kill you. And you're like, okay, I gotta do this. And so, yeah, so Phil and I ended up doing that. And it was great, man. I'll tell you, it is more, you're done after about mile 4 or 5. Your body's like, I'm done. It's all mental. And so you finish that, and it's really cool. You got this like little fire at the end that you jump over, and it's a great feeling at the end. But I remember, we were kind of preparing for it, kind of getting ready, but I thought, oh, we're we're in the wrong area when we're getting ready and we're like in this like
oh,
group, and I'm looking at these athletes and I'm like, oh, these guys look pretty damn pretty damn healthy, and the guy had asked, hey, who is doing their first ultra Spartan, and we're all like, yeah, there's like 8 of us. How many is this your first Spartan that you've done? and two of us.
Oh
And the
no!
announcer goes,
Like, did you
"What?"
sign your medical waiver?
Right? The announcer goes, "Why did you pick this one?" It was like, I don't know, we're idiots. I don't know, but yeah, it was cool. It was neat to do. But yeah, I kind of leave it down there, and I don't know, it's by a little golf trophy, whatever. But in the basement, in the corner. How about that? That's where
Yeah,
I keep
and
it.
because I don't have any of my high school medals around, I think the two that would, earn a place of publicity, I guess, in my house would be an Olympic medal and then
Wow.
something similar to what you just said, where if someone sees it, there's a story that I get to tell about whether it's an event that I'm proud of or just how crazy it was.
Yeah.
Because it definitely, I mean, even especially if I look at the high school ones, it's not who I am now, but it is a part of who made me who I am
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
And so
It's
those
super cool.
little reminders,
Yeah.
but
But all these guys, all these athletes should be so proud. I mean, it is like it's a lot of work, especially these NBA guys. You look at this WNBA girls. As you look at what they did, it's crazy because they've got a whole season you're playing. It's a lot of wear and tear on your body. Now it's like, okay, finally, it's summer break. You guys go spend time with your family, do a vacation, celebrate birthdays. Nope. They're going to go represent their country in a different country, right? Everybody go over to Paris, sleep on these cardboard boxes. Good luck. Yeah, So yeah, I applaud them. It's big time. These guys have to be exhausted, and guess what? The season's going to start right back up.
yeah, I need
So
to take up surfing so I can have like get out of the
hey,
Olympic Village and live my life on a cruise like out in where were they? Tahiti? They were someplace
yeah,
gorgeous and not off the coast of France.
no, it was beautiful. I tell you, you're right. That might be a cool thing. So if we go back and go, which one do you want to compete with? Compete
Surfing.
in surfing, dude. Yeah, that's the lifestyle right there. That's cool.
We'll strengthen your treading water first, and then we'll then we'll jump on the surfboard. You're the only one that rides it all the way to shore. You're like I can't. I'm
I just
so
go
good.
straight in,
I'm
and
so
I'm
good
just
because I
laying down.
can't. I can't get in the water, so that's why I
Yeah,
am. My feet are
that's
glued to this
hilarious.
board.
Yeah. They're like, oh, here we go, representing the United States. Here's Mark Smith on the surfboard, and he's coming straight in, and he's got water wings and a life vest on. Oh, this is interesting. Yeah. That'd
No,
be
no,
it.
no. Then you would medal, and you would have to go on the podium with your water wings still
Yes.
on, because this is a pivotal part of my success
I've
right
got the
here.
nose plug. I've got the earplugs in.
The like zinc sunscreen that
Yeah.
stays white.
I would have to do that. Oh my God, that'd be the best. We
Like,
might
I
have to we
am.
might have to do a little video on that. I think it'd be a
Oh,
lot of
that'd
fun.
be.
We got to do that.
See,
Yeah.
I remember my sister and I used to play Olympics where we would, you know, whether it's just out in the backyard, set up all our different events, create our own events, because of
Oh
course
yeah.
we had to. I think we
Yeah.
made little medals. We lined up all our stuffed animals so they were our audience as we of course we like judged ourselves, so everyone's just 10, 10, tens across the
Oh,
board. But
of course, of course, yeah. Perfection, yeah. We used to do that where you do the if you're in a hotel room, the bed to bed flips.
oh yeah, oh
Yeah,
yes.
yep, we were pretty good till you hit the ceiling.
Right, and then you
Right,
go, ooh,
one
you're
point deduction.
you're you accidentally kick the light and you're like all of a sudden everyone gets real quiet, like is there glass, did we break it, are we good?
Right, yeah. Do a quick check. Okay, we're good. We're good.
Okay, back to
That's awesome.
it.
Yeah, but yeah, it was great. Great seeing the Olympics. It's funny because now you go through that little bit of withdrawal, right? So now it's like, all right, you guys want to go to a baseball game or something? Let's go see some competition. So it's cool. But yeah, we got football starting up. Very excited for that. We'll see how the Lions do this year. They look. I mean, they look strong. They look good. We'll see how they fare. But I'll tell you, I think if they can do better than they did last year, right?
I
And
mean, my goodness.
yeah, go to the big game. I mean, that's freaking great. So I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, it's got to feel really good when you got an entire town, right? You got a lot of diehard Lions that since the '60s have been like big fans, and through 0 and 16 and whatever, always a fan. But it's great now because now you're getting the people who can see what the Lions have been talking about for years. And when Coach Dan Campbell comes in and says, "Hey, listen, this is what we're going to be," you're going to see it, right? It's hard. It's hard when you're starting off and you're like, we're kind of 500, right? And you're like same old Lions. But then when you start seeing the winning and the championships, you start going, I believe in you, Coach.
Yeah, and it's funny because me growing up watching baseball, that was my, sport that I spent all my time just consumed with. And football was a little bit further back, but I'm used to a 162 game schedule. And so when I'm like, they
Oh,
only play 16 games, like what
yeah.
is this? Because I would see a record of like, 2 in, let's say, 10 at some point, and I'm like, oh, they're like, no, no, like the season's almost over. Like
Right, right.
this
Yeah.
is
What
what
is
it's
this?
gonna be. I'm like, oh, they don't have 140 some odd more games to go.
Right. That's exactly it. It's crazy because you look basketball 82, right? Great. Football 16 plus pregame. Let's call it
Yep,
20.
yep.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy when you see what they have. Like I'll tell you, one game for me. If you played rugby, one game a year is probably plenty.
Because you
Those
need
guys
the
are
rest of
crazy.
the year to recover
My
physically
God.
from that, and
Yeah.
not enough Epsom salt in the world to
Dude, yeah, I'm
relax
just
those.
like, wow. That's like boxing. You watch these guys box and it's like, how do you box every couple of months? Like that's crazy.
And water polo. That's
Oh,
another. Just put
well,
rugby in the water. It's like let's add the element of being able to
yeah.
maybe drown on
Right,
top of
exactly. Yeah.
it.
They get physical. Oh my
Oh
gosh,
yeah.
watching that, they're grabbing around the neck and they're pulling them under. I'm like, I'm just trying to grab a ball. Hold on.
You did track and field in your day, correct?
Yeah, I did. So I did the 100 highs hurdles, which were fun. I was little, so everybody would three step, I'd four step in between. I did the long jump. That was kind of my big one. We do the mile relay and we do the 800 relay. So a lot of fun. We did well, but yeah, what I always loved was long jump. That was always like that. Just felt like you've got a few seconds. You're in the air, and that was like you could tell your form if you've been working on your form and you get out there, you hit it. I think mine for a while there, I had like the high school record. You're like, oh, great. Probably until some freshman came along a couple years later. But yeah, it was a good feeling. I remember doing that at our city meet. We were going against a couple of, a number of schools that we competed against. And, it's a great feeling when you have your kind of your personal record out there and and you beat everybody and you kind of win first place in that one. It's a great feeling. But yeah, then you go, when you don't hit it the next time, you're like, what the heck, man?
How did I do this?
How do you do it one day? It's crazy.
Another thing that I love about the Olympic time in sports is I think of Simone Biles. I know there's a huge list that is not coming to mind at the moment, but it reintroduces in a much more public way the talk of mental health in sports and how, they are so open in their interviews about it is as mental as it is physical. And
Yeah.
in order to reach this level that I am at, I have to take care of my mental health just as much as I am conditioning my body to compete in the sport that I'm doing.
Yeah. Yeah. You're so right about that. I think even when we get onto something like this, like, you always roll and you're like, yeah, let's get on. I'm always like, let me talk a mile a minute. I don't know what I'm doing. Where do I put my hands? But yeah, I think you got to prepare for things. And I think you're right. When it comes to sports, you'll see people go through a routine, kind of get their mindset right. And it's got to be hard too, especially when you look at the relay team, the men's relay team, the women's relay team, right? You've got that baton. When you drop that baton again and again, that just becomes a 300-pound baton that is going to fall. And you got to get over that somehow. It's crazy. But to be a champion, I think you're right. I think physically fit, 100%, right? I think mentally, you got to get there. It's those that can pull that out. Like you'll see some of these guys who come, kind of from behind, right? They're running the mile, right, or the 800, and they're behind by a few steps. That is not physical. That's pulling them forward. That is purely mental, right? And that's awesome to see. That's somebody who's got it, at least for that moment, right, really together. That's
Because
awesome.
I'm sure there's no pressure whatsoever being on an international stage to
Yeah, no,
have to do what, like representing your country
no,
and
no.
your whole lifetime
Yeah.
of work coming to this, few minutes, few moments, few whatever the case may be. Like, I'm sure it's just, like any other day.
Yeah, think about that too. You're traveling, so you're not used to your normal routine. You're not getting up, having your coffee, doing
You're
your thing,
sleeping
right?
on cardboard.
Sleeping on cardboard. You're with a team, so I'm sure there's other things you're doing, right? Where you're staying up probably a little later than you normally do. You're probably getting up a little earlier because you're sharing bathrooms with people and trying to get ready. You're not driving your own car somewhere, right? You're taking like this shuttle somewhere. You're probably not eating like you normally do. You're not talking to your family. There's a lot that's missing, and probably a lot of self doubt that comes out there, right? Like, do I belong here? Like, I don't, I'm not sure this is the right spot for me, right? And I mean, it's got to be a great feeling to have somebody who's around you, who's kind of that mindfulness coach, right? Who can tell you, hey, we're going to walk through our breathing, we're going to think these thoughts, we're going to, whatever it might be, let's get you in the right headspace where you can compete today.
I think that's another reason that routines become so important. I think back to when Michael Phelps was swimming and you would see him with his headphones on and kind of
Yeah,
getting in the zone, getting ready for that. But when you are able to create those strong routines, both whether you're preparing for the Olympics or just like going through life, I have a morning routine that I have, I'm in my sweet spot right now.
yeah,
And even when I'm in a different environment, that is something that brings me back to myself every day. Like, this is something that doesn't matter what country I'm in, what my surroundings are, I'm able to tap into this part of my routine. And that is that first reminder, first thing in the day of, who you are. You are enough. Let's go do this.
there you go. Yep, that's exactly it. That's awesome. And I think, I think when you look at it, even young athletes, right, people who are just in a sport, talk things out, right?
Yeah.
I think a lot of people kind of bottle that up, whether it's like, hey, I'm stressed out with my homework, or hey, my parents yelled at me before I came out here today, or my boyfriend, my girlfriend, whatever it might be, talk it out, right? You know what I love is I love now there are a lot of like great online, things that you can do to really kind of help with your mindfulness. It was great. I was talking to a buddy of mine yesterday. This guy, man, a lot of stress. He's you know, he's in kind of the psychiatric business as well, which is nice. But yeah, a lot of stress, a lot of things going on with the family and home and all this kind of stuff. And it was such a cool thing to hear. He said, "Oh yeah, later today I'm going to be doing my meditation," and I'm like, "Oh, is that cool?" Right? Kind of neat to hear a guy with his master's degree in psychology and stuff, and to kind of know what that is, and to go, "Yeah, that's how it helps me kind of settle things and cope." And I'm like, "That is awesome." But yeah, I thought of you right away because I'm like, "Oh, yeah, you and Christine got to chat."
Well, yeah, it's, I appreciate that this conversation is becoming more of a conversation
Mhm.
because, it's not necessarily tied. Like, I've had plenty of people that are like, oh, I'm not into the like woo kind of this. And I'm like, no, no, no. Think of it from a purely how we are as humans. This will teach you to regulate your nervous system. And like mindfulness and meditation, not the same thing. You are able to easier be mindful because you have meditated.
Yeah,
And the way that I think of mindfulness is all that other noise that is happening in life, whether it is school stuff, family stuff, work stuff, XYZ, whatever the case is. Mindfulness is not letting all of that creep in so you can focus, being mindful, being present in that moment of just what is directly in front of you that is deserving of that focus in that moment. So when I think of the mindfulness coaches, they are the ones that kind of bring you back to center to say, all right, listen,
right.
we're not forgetting the other things. We know that this will still exist afterwards, and that is fine. That is actually a reason why I fell in love with baseball when I did, because we had season tickets when I was in high school. And, the Tigers were not necessarily super enjoyable to watch during that time, but there was some magic that would happen when I would enter Comerica Park. And for those next few hours, anything else that was happening outside of that field did not matter. And it was my way to just, and it's funny, hindsight, of course, to see that I was learning what mindfulness was, just not realizing that's what was happening, and
Right,
that
right.
baseball was my kind of catalyst to that. But I could have had gotten a horrible grade on a project, had all this work I had to do, was yelling at my sister or mom like before anything, all those little
Yeah,
teenage
yeah,
angsty stuff that goes on. But as soon as I got inside Comerica Park for at least a few hours, all that got put on hold. And I think that sports does that a lot, not just as, playing the sport, but as a spectator as well.
yeah. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it's so important. It's awesome to see, but I think more and more kids are starting to be aware of that and aware of what that means. To kind of have that focus. So we're not just focused on just your just your physical prowess, right? How much weight can you push, right? How fast can you run? How high can you jump? That's a part of it, big part of it. But also another large part is that mindfulness, right? Is getting that right headspace. So awesome stuff. But yeah, I'll tell you, you know what would be really cool? We got to figure out. We got to get Michael Phelps on the show.
Oh, on it.
Yeah, you got it, Christine. Call your buddy. Call your buddy,
Oh,
Mike.
no, we are.
But he's been doing a lot of stuff for that. Over the past couple of years, probably the past 5 years. But yeah, he's great. And I think it's opened the door to allow people to have that conversation and not feel like, I'm a big strong
Right.
athlete. I don't need
Yeah.
that.
I
Everybody
mean, the
does.
more, especially higher profile athletes that continue to have this conversation, I think that's a huge reason why, like you mentioned, kids are becoming aware that this is part of my training that I
Yeah,
need. But
yeah. You're
I
right.
think,
Exactly
so
right.
what? Let's see. Next will be 2 more years until we get the Winter Olympics. So no podcast until then, right?
Yeah, yeah. That's it. We'll wait. We'll wait.
Well,
Yeah,
we'll
bobsled.
put.
Let's go. Yeah.
I like the bobsled, except I have a feeling if I jumped in one, I would be terrified the entire time
The
because
speed is crazy.
when they fall, I mean, you are hitting. I mean, it might as well be cement. Like, there's no. I think the
Right.
ice is very forgiving,
Yeah,
but
I don't think your cranium wins over ice. I don't think so. But yeah, fun. It was great to see the Olympics. I'll tell you. Love the closing ceremonies. Really cool. But yeah, it is weird to like go through that. Little withdrawal now. Like, no, come on, I want to see it. So
just
we'll see.
back to
We'll have to wait.
regular sport. Although I
Yeah.
gotta look up handball now. I gotta go
Oh,
see what do they do in the 4 years when they're
I'll
not.
tell you what. I want to get out there. I want to have like a co-ed handball thing. That looks awesome. So we gotta play. But yeah, I'm gonna send you some highlights. You're
Please
gonna love
do.
it. It is so cool and great sport. So really cool. I love it.
As always, it is a pleasure to get to chat with you, and
Always.
I look forward to the next episode. Thanks for joining us.
See you guys.